Well, it's that time of year again. You need to take a physical inventory. We've added a couple of new options to hopefully make it a little bit easier to do that. Let's go into Inventory Control. Let's go into Inventory Maintenance and Reports. You'll see two new options here. One is Physical Inventory Worksheet, and the next one is Physical Inventory Worksheet Update. What you can do here is you can click on Physical Inventory Worksheet. What this is going to do is create a mirror image of whatever you plan on taking a physical on. Now normally most dealers aren't going to do it on their whole inventory at one particular time. So maybe today you figure that you can do 3 or 4 bin locations, and so you want to create a mirror of that. Take your image, update your inventory, and then tomorrow you'll do another image of another section. Or you could do your whole inventory if you wish. So let's see how it works. First I'm going to say yes, I want to clear my file. Now you can do it by vendor and pot. You can do it by pot number, by bin location. What most dealers will do, will use this bin location with separators. What this will do, it'll create a separate worksheet for each bin location and keep it separate. So let's do that one first. I'm going to start off with any bin that starts with K and goes from all my K's to my ZZZs. And I want all vendors within those bins, all pot numbers within those bins. And what this is going to do now, and you'll probably want to print this out, it's going to create a worksheet. Each worksheet will only list 25 pot numbers. Now you can hand this worksheet out to your employees, and all they need to do is go out to the bin, count, put the quantity in here. Now if you're using a laptop or if you're using a iPad, obviously you could be looking at the same screen and they would just be typing in the numbers here. If not, you're using a piece of paper and you're writing these numbers down. Let's take a look at what this has done. Now we look at this bin location right here. It's organizing. It's page 2. Here's page 3. And it's 3 pages. So it's organizing things by bin location with 25 pots on a page. Here's the next bin location, which had, looks like it's around 10 pots. So it's going to separate each bin location because I told it to bin location with separators. So I can hand this, they can do that bin, and then bring it back to be updated. One thing you'll notice is every once in a while you'll see this thing with a pot number. WIP equals, RO equals, and unit system equals. What this means is that right now you have 37 of these pots sitting in the service department on work orders that have not been billed out. Technically, you still own those pots until you build them out. So that's just telling you that there's 37 in your location that you still own that are technically, accounting-wise, part of your inventory, but they're not sitting on the shelf. And so when you see that, that's what it means. Okay, so now we've created our worksheet. What do we do after that? Well, now you'll hand your worksheet to your employees. They'll go out, do the count. Worksheet comes back. Now whether you're doing this with an iPad right at the location or whether you're looking at the inventory quantities off a piece of paper, it's pretty much the same. You'll go into Physical Inventory Worksheet Update, and let's just say who you are. And now these are all the categories. What it did, it separated each bin location because I picked bin location separator, and it's telling me that on this bin location right here there's 75 pots. On this bin location there are 10. So this gives me a pot count on how many pot items are in each bin location. If I need to update a bin location, I would click on this one here, and these are the 25 pots that you're looking on a page. So when you've got that piece of paper, they're right here. So now there's no need to typing in pot numbers. You would just type in the quantity. So let's go down the line here and say I've got 4 here. Now what you'll notice is the color will change. What will happen here is I typed in 4. It's telling me that the old quantity was 10, which means my inventory was reduced by 6. So whenever you see red, that's usually a problem because that shouldn't be happening. So let's type in another number here. When you see it orange, orange means it's exactly the same. I had 10 in inventory originally, and I still have 10. That's really what you want to see. That's what your inventory should be. If I go down to the next one and I type in, that means it increased by 50. So these are the 3 colors you're always going to see. Red means your inventory was reduced. Orange means it stayed the same. Green means my old inventory was 0. Now I have 50. So as you go down the line here, you can just type in the quantities. Now, one important question, one important item I mean, is that if you hit the Enter key, if the color changes, it's going to be updated. I hit the Enter key, which means that's the same as putting a 0 in there. So what this is saying, that's orange. It means there was nothing in inventory when I created my image. There is nothing now. So basically, when you see orange, that means that when we do this update, and I click this right here, it's making that pot number 0. It was 0 before. So if you accidentally hit the Enter key, and that's not the case, you can use the up arrow key and type in a number if you wish. But if you haven't did that pot and you want to go back to it later, if you use the arrow key, it will not update it. Any line that doesn't have a color to it will not get updated. Nothing's going to happen. So let's just do this here. I'm just going to enter some numbers here. What this really does, it just makes it much easier so that there's no need to type in pot numbers. All you're doing is putting in quantities. And so now if I want to, I can go to my next page, hit F3, and I would just go down the line here. And we're going to type in numbers, and that's it. So it makes it pretty easy. There's no need. Obviously, all these were 0 quantities. If I just hit the Enter key, most of these pots were all 0. Now, I can hit the Update key. Maybe I want to go to lunch, and I'll finish this later. So I have two options. I can update my inventory now, or I can just hit the Escape key and say, I'll come back to this and finish it later. So let's come back to it now, and I'm going to pick the same one, and obviously what I did before is still here. And maybe I'll go to page 3, and let's go down to here, and we'll just okay. Now I'm going to do the update. Now I'm still not done, because if I look, there's another page left. And there's 3 pages, and these are going to be exactly what you're looking at a piece of paper. But I want to update. So I'm going to hit Update, and it's going to say, do you want to update your inventory? Yes, I do. When it updates your inventory, it'll actually give you a report of everything that you've just done. And let's just look at the last page here. So on this particular one that we did, this is my old quantity, this is my new quantity. My inventory went up by 151 items. My cost of my inventory went up by $3,300. Now that's just for this pots that I've just updated. You don't really need to print this out. When you're totally done, you may want to print what the net result was of all your adjustments. It'll give you that report there. It also gives you another report here. And there again, you can print these reports out, or you can print them out later when you're actually completed, which is probably this will actually tell you who did it, what the time it was, what was going on here. Okay, let's go back in there and see what it looks like. All right, this is what we didn't do on page 1. Actually, we're going to click here. These are the pots. Now, it keeps everything organized by that piece of paper. So these are 3 pots that you never filled in the quantity. Are they 0? Well, if they're 0, you need to just hit the Enter key. That has to have a color, or it'll never get updated. So let's just say, well, okay, I went back and counted these. And now I'm going to go to page 3. The next page here. And, well, the right one here. Okay, now page 2, we completed it completely. And now we've got page 3. And we'll go down the line here, and we'll just enter all these things here. Okay. And now I'm just going to hit F12, update it, and we can run our reports here again. And here's what we just did on that particular session. And now if we go back in there, you'll notice that that's not listed anymore. So that's completely off the list. So you're basically, okay, we're done with that bin. Now let's do our next bin. You can do here, and there again, you're just going down the line. Obviously, we're reducing a lot of these inventories here because they're red. That was 11, that was 10, that was 7. If I go here, let's put a big number in here. That's obviously green, it went up. And that's 0, and that's 0. One other thing you can do, if you notice that, oh, wait a minute, we did move the bin location here. If you click on any one of these bin locations, you can actually change the bin location at the same time. And so now when we do this update, it's going to update that as well as my bin location. And then you can print the reports out if you wish, or not. Okay, we go back in there again. So as you use this, all these will keep disappearing as you finish your inventory. When you're completely done, like if we want to do let's do this one here. It's only got 6 pots. and 12, and there again, it makes it easier where you don't have to type in any part numbers. You're just typing in quantities. You're working from a worksheet, which makes it quite easy. And if we go back in here, obviously we're doing a bin at a time, and you'd finish all your bins. When this is completely blank and you come up with a blank screen, you've done that. You've finished all the bins that you created your mirror image on. And now what you can do is now you can go in and do another section of your inventory. Okay, so this here will make it a little bit easier where there's no typing part numbers. You're working off a worksheet. It makes it easy where if you're not going to be using an iPad or a laptop, it makes it quite easy, no typing of part numbers. Now let's look at another method of doing your inventory, which is the standard way we've normally done it for years, which is just stock adjustment. Now this obviously works quite well if you've got an iPad or a laptop where you, in a barcode reader where you could scan in a part number, it would normally bring up a pot. You would actually just type in the quantity and that's it. And so, you know, you'd be typing in part numbers, and whether you type it in or with a bar, this obviously works much more convenient with a barcode scanner where you could scan in your part number. You still have to count. You know, one way or another, you still got to count, and if you want to change the bin location, you can. So this is the original way we've had for years. Now the important thing is that then you can just get a printout of the parts that you've just done. The important thing is when you've completed doing your inventory, what you want to do is you want to go in and run this report here. You probably want to go in and print this inventory adjustment variance. And what you would do, now it might have taken you 2 weeks to do your whole inventory. You know, you did it a piece at a time, so maybe it's taken you 2 weeks. If that's the case, you know, I will just type in the end of the year here. Well, let's just do what we did today. So we'll just do what we did today. And what this is going to do is this will give me a couple of options. I'm going to say, and normally you would put in the range that it took to do your whole physical inventory, which might have been a week or 2 weeks. And obviously you'd want your whole inventory. And do you want to print parts that you forgot to adjust? Now this is important because maybe by accident there are some parts that you didn't make an adjustment on. If that's the case, then you'd want to print this here. It's going to give you 2 separate reports. It's going to give you one report of all the parts you have adjusted and what the adjustment was. And here's what we've done right here. And if we look at this here, it basically says, okay, these are the parts that we've actually adjusted, the ones that I've just adjusted here while we're doing this video. There's my on hand, there's my new on hand, here's what the adjustment was. I obviously reduced my inventory by quite a bit of dollars, and I reduced my inventory by 2,937 line items. So this tells you exactly what you did within this date range that you typed in, how long it took you to do a complete physical inventory. Now the next report, if we go down the line here, is going to be a complete listing of every part that you never adjusted. And this is looking and saying, okay, well, for one reason or another, you didn't adjust these parts here. So it lets you know that, okay, maybe we forgot to do this. Maybe these are sitting in some place. Maybe they didn't have bin locations. So that now you'll see the parts you have adjusted. You may want to look at these. Go do the adjustments necessary. Okay. And then obviously, when you're completely all done, you may want to go back and run your standard inventory valuation report, which would be right here. And normally it's run by part and VIN number. And normally people would like to get vendor totals. And normally you don't need to print something if it's not zero. If you don't have it in stock, it doesn't really matter much. And you just want it on a piece of paper. And so here is our evaluation report, and if we go to our last page, this will give us totals for each manufacturer. So obviously on Yamaha, these are our totals for Yamaha. Here's our total for our total inventory. Now one thing to keep in mind is that if you want to also get a report of all parts that you have in service, because technically they're still part of your inventory. They're not sitting on the shelf. You know, they're sitting on a job in service, or they're sitting in a work in progress, which could be a special order part that you've ordered for somebody but they haven't picked them up yet. And if you do that, you'll get this report here, which will, there again, will list every single part, list what you have. Here's your total cost of parts. Here's total is what's in service. These are in service work orders that have not been closed out. These are in the WIPs, which are probably special orders that have not been closed out. And so this will give your parts that you may want to count as still part of your inventory. Obviously, if you're giving this to a bank, you want this to be still part of your inventory. Normally, when you're taking a physical inventory, it's usually a slower time of year, so usually there's not a lot of parts in service or in the special order files. Okay. Hopefully this has helped you and make it a little bit more convenient for doing a physical inventory. If you need help, please give us a call.